After 5 years of marriage, I thought I knew my husband. Then, at our daughter's school play, he whispered something to a woman in the crowd. She laughed and kissed his cheek. I was holding our son. When I asked later, he said, "She's just a friend from work." The next week, I followed him on his lunch break, straight into her apartment. I waited until his birthday party. I played a slideshow on the TV. Photos, texts, hotel receipts. The cake was still in the oven when I left. He hasn't celebrated since. We were married for 5 years. Not the fairy tale kind, but steady, solid. We had a house outside Des Moines with a backyard big enough for our dog, a swing set Dale built himself, and a little vegetable patch I kept alive during summers. We had 2 kids, Lila, our sweet 6-year-old who could twirl in a tutu for hours, and baby Evan, just 14 months, full of drool and giggles. I thought I knew Dale. Really knew him. He was the guy who rubbed my feet when I was pregnant. The guy who grilled on Sundays and cried when Lila was born. He worked in tech, nothing flashy, and I stayed home with the kids. We were the kind of couple you'd see at Target arguing about cereal, then laughing in the parking lot. That was my life. Until the school play. Lila was playing a mouse in a version of Cinderella the school had rewritten to make more modern. It was a big deal for her. She'd practiced her lines every night, made me do call and response, and begged to wear lipstick. The auditorium was packed. I sat near the front with Evan on my hip. Dale sat next to me, acting proud like always. He wore that navy button-up I liked and brought her flowers and plastic wrap from the grocery store. About halfway through, Dale leaned over and whispered something. Not to me, to a woman a few rows down. She turned, laughed, touched his hand, and kissed him on the cheek. Right in front of me. I didn't react. I couldn't. My son was chewing on his toy giraffe. My daughter was on stage. My jaw clenched so hard my teeth hurt. Afterward, when we were walking to the car, I asked, "Who is that woman you were talking to?" Dale didn't blink. "Oh, that's Mallory. Just a friend from work." Just a friend. Right. I let it sit for a few days. I told myself not to spiral, not to go down the rabbit hole. Maybe she was just a friend. But then I noticed Dale was smiling at his phone more, being cagey, deleting texts, saying I have to take this and stepping out more often. My gut wouldn't let it go. So I stopped trusting his words and started watching his actions. Wednesday was his regular team lunch day. He'd leave around noon and be back at the office by 2. This time, I dropped the kids with his mom and went to work at a nearby cafe. Really, I parked across the street from his office. He left the building at 12:17. I followed him in my old Civic, 2 cars behind, trying not to tail too close. He didn't go to a restaurant. He didn't go to a coffee shop. He drove to an apartment complex across town. He parked in the garage, walked inside like he'd been there before. 5 minutes later, a woman opened the lobby door. It was her, Mallory. She was wearing leggings and an oversized hoodie. Hair up, barefoot. They hugged. Then they disappeared into the elevator. I sat in that car for over an hour, watching the entrance like it might erase what I saw. My hands were shaking on the steering wheel. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just watched. When he came back down, he had a pastry box in hand, like he brought dessert to a date. That night, I didn't say anything. I couldn't. My kids were crawling all over me, asking for snacks, begging for stories. Dale kissed me on the cheek when he came home. I almost laughed in his face. Over the next week, I tracked him. Thursday, another visit. This time for only 40 minutes. Friday, lunch out, Uber ride to a hotel downtown, back to the office at 3:10 p.m. I screen recorded the Uber receipts from our joint account. I airdropped myself a text chain he left open on his iPad when he was in the shower. It had messages like "can't stop thinking about yesterday," and "that thing you did in the elevator." He wasn't even being smart about it. I made a folder on my desktop called Truth. I filled it with screenshots, timestamped photos, and everything I could find. I didn't confront him. Not yet. Dale's birthday was the next week. He told me, "Let's keep it low-key this year." Perfect. I cleaned the house, hung streamers, got his favorite snacks. I even made a video slideshow like I did every birthday, usually baby photos, trips, our first dance at our wedding. Except this time, I made some changes. I made 2 versions of the slideshow. One sweet, one very, very real. The night of the party, everything looked perfect. Music playing, drinks poured, friends laughing. My in-laws were in the kitchen, and Dale's best friend brought over his kids. Dale walked in, surprised. "You really did all this?" I kissed his cheek. "Of course. You deserve it." I waited until everyone had a drink in hand. Then I said, "Before we cut the cake, I want to play something special. A slideshow." A little trip down memory lane. The TV lit up. Smiles. Kids. Our wedding. Then boom. Photo of him entering Mallory's apartment. Screenshot of a text. Still dreaming about that hotel shower. Receipt. Holiday Inn, 12:42 p.m., 2 days ago. Photo of her kissing his cheek at the school play. The room went quiet. His mom stood up, whispering, "What is this?" I looked Dale dead in the eye. "You tell them, Dale. Or should I?" His face turned pale. People started mumbling. His sister grabbed her purse. One of his friends stood up and walked out. I looked at him one last time. "The cake's in the oven," I said. "You can blow out the candles alone." Then I walked out the front door. I didn't even take my coat. Just grabbed my keys and left. I drove to my sister's place across town. She was the only one who knew what I'd been planning. When I walked in, she had wine and tissues on the table, just in case I needed either. I didn't cry. I wasn't sad. Not yet. I felt clean, like I'd just ripped something filthy out of my body. The next morning, Dale called 20 times. I didn't pick up. Then came the text, "Can we talk? Please don't do this in front of the kids." It was a mistake. It's over with her. I'll fix this. "You embarrassed me." That last one made me laugh. "I embarrassed you?" By noon, his sister called. She told me Dale was staying at his friend's house. His mom was devastated. His dad said he needed to man up and make it right. Too late for that. I stayed at my sister's for the weekend. On Sunday, I picked up the kids while Dale was at work. I told them we were having a little adventure and that we'd stay at Aunt Sarah's for a while. Lila asked if Daddy was coming. I told her, "Not right now." She didn't ask again. By Monday, I'd spoken to a lawyer. We had a prenup. Not because either of us had money, but because my dad insisted on it before he helped us buy our first house. Turned out that was the best gift he ever gave me. The lawyer helped me draft separation papers and advised I freeze the joint accounts. I moved my half into a new bank. I canceled Dale's access to anything with my name on it. When he finally got a hold of me, I agreed to meet in public. A diner off the highway. "I messed up," he said. I didn't answer. I didn't mean for it to go that far. I tilted my head. "You mean repeated cheating? Hotels? Kisses in public? That far?" He looked away. "I wasn't happy," he said finally. "I felt stuck." I laughed. "And Mallory unstuck you?" He flinched. "Dale, I cooked your meals, raised your kids. I ran the house, scheduled every appointment, packed every diaper bag. And I still had to find time to prove you were cheating." He tried to reach for my hand. I moved it. "You can have weekends with the kids. But we're done." A week later, Mallory messaged me on Instagram. Yes, she had the audacity. Her message said, "I didn't know he was still married. He told me you were separated." I didn't reply. I screenshotted it and sent it to my lawyer. 2 days after that, Mallory posted a quote on her story. "Sometimes the heart wants what it wants." Yeah, the heart wants your married coworker. It only got messier. Dale tried to delay the divorce. Said he needed time to gather himself. My lawyer pushed back hard. We filed for full custody. I had the screenshots, the receipts, the timeline. He wanted to settle privately. I refused. Let it go on record. Let everyone see the truth. A month later, Dale tried to bring flowers to my house. My sister saw him pull up and call the cops. Nothing dramatic happened, but I made it clear. Don't come to my door again. That night, he texted, "Why are you trying to ruin my life?" I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I replied, "I didn't ruin it. I just made sure you couldn't keep lying about it." A few weeks later, things got weird. At first, Dale was quiet. He showed up on time for his visits with the kids. He brought snacks, toys, tried too hard to look like a doting dad. I thought maybe he'd finally accepted it. Maybe he was going to stay in his lane. Nope. One Friday afternoon, Lila came home from Dale's with a new backpack. Frozen-themed. She loved it. I almost didn't think anything of it until I opened it. Inside was a note. Not from Dale. From Mallory. In crayon. "I had so much fun hanging out with you today, Lila. You're so sweet, just like your daddy says. Hope we can have another girls' day soon. Mallory." I felt sick. I'd never given permission for Mallory to be around my kids. Dale had never mentioned it. There was no conversation. No discussion. Just this. A woman I barely knew, who helped destroy my marriage, slipping a note into my daughter's things like she was part of our family. I snapped a photo of it and texted Dale. "What the hell is this? You let her around our daughter without telling me?" He took 2 hours to respond. It was just for a bit. I had to take a call, and Mallory offered to help. I called my lawyer again. We filed for a revision of the custody agreement. The court ordered Dale to disclose anyone who would be present during his visitation time. No overnights with unfamiliar adults present. He lost a day of custody for violating that clause. Dale flipped. He started showing up late, canceling visits last minute. Once, he brought the kids back smelling like cigarettes. He said it wasn't him, it was someone in the elevator. I didn't believe him. Then I found out he was fired. That was the twist I didn't expect. Dale had been written up twice at work already, once for being late too often, and once for inappropriate workplace behavior. I didn't know what that meant until a mutual friend from his company called me. Apparently, Mallory wasn't the only one. He'd been flirting with interns. Someone filed a complaint. He was asked to resign. Now, he was unemployed, renting a spare room from a buddy, and behind on his car payments. I didn't gloat, but I didn't feel sorry either. You make choices. You live with them. Then came the final punch. Lila got sick. Nothing serious, a stomach virus going around her school. But she was throwing up, needed rest, needed me. Dale texted me the night before his scheduled visit. "Still want me to come pick them up?" I replied. "She's sick. Staying home." Simple. Clear. The next morning, I heard banging at my door. It was Dale, unannounced. He started yelling, asking why I was withholding his kids, saying I was alienating him. I stepped outside, shutting the door behind me so the kids wouldn't hear. "You lost your job. You lied to the court. You let Mallory near our daughter without asking me. And now you're shouting on my front porch." He stepped forward like he was going to say something else, but then he stopped. Maybe he saw something in my face. Or maybe he finally realized he had no ground left to stand on. He walked away. Later that day, I got an email from Mallory. Again, this time longer. She wrote about how Dale was in a dark place, how she was trying to help him heal, and how I was the one dragging this out. She had the nerve to write, "I hope, for the children's sake, you can find a way to move forward and let go of the bitterness." Bitterness? I forwarded it straight to my lawyer. We added it to the file. By then I was tired. Not the kind of tired you fix with sleep. The kind that lives in your bones. That kind that comes from fighting every single day just to protect your kids from the fallout of someone else's choices. The court dates dragged on. Dale tried to get shared custody back. Claimed he was stable now. Claimed he had a new job lined up. Claimed I was manipulating the system. My lawyer showed the emails, the screenshots, the text from Mallory, the meltdown on my porch. The judge didn't buy his act. They ruled in my favor. Primary custody, restricted visitation for Dale, supervised for now. He left court red-faced and shaking. I thought that would be it. I thought that would finally shut the door on this nightmare. But Dale had one more move. It was Lila's birthday. We planned a small party at my sister's house. Just cake, cousins, games in the backyard. Dale was supposed to drop off a gift. That was it. No visit, no staying, just drop and go. He showed up with a big box wrapped in gold paper. Inside, a tablet. Nice one, too. Brand new. Still sealed. Lila squealed. I forced a polite smile. Thanks, Dale. He left without a word. That night, when Lila was asleep, I turned on the tablet to set up parental controls. There were pictures already on it. 24. Photos of Dale and Mallory in a cabin. At a beach. At a wedding. My cousin's wedding that I hadn't even invited him to. Photos from my old house that he still had a key to. Photos where Mallory was wearing one of my old scarves. I nearly dropped it. Then I found the video. It was them, drunk in bed. Laughing. Saying things like, wonder if her prissy ass will ever move on. She'll probably die bitter. That was it. I finally lost it. I called the police. Reported the unlocked tablet left for my minor child with inappropriate content. Filed a formal complaint. Gave them everything. The photos, the dates, the video. Then I changed the locks on the old house. I filed for a restraining order. I went back to court again, this time asking for no contact. Not even supervised. Not until he completed counseling, drug testing, anger management, everything. I was done giving him chances. And the court was too. The judge ruled in my favor. Permanently restricted visitation. Only video calls allowed, and only if initiated by a third party under court supervision. Dale exploded in the courtroom. Yelled at the judge. Had to be removed by security. That was the last time I saw him in person. He stopped fighting after that. No more emails. No more surprise gifts. No more messages from Mallory. I heard through someone else that she dumped him. Something about him being too angry and unpredictable. His new job fell through. He got evicted again. He moved to Kansas City. I blocked his number. Now I raise my kids in peace. Lila's doing great. She's back in ballet. Evan's in preschool. I work part-time at a real estate office and part-time at home, freelancing for small businesses. We have a new place. Clean, quiet. Ours. And sometimes I still bake. I still make that same birthday cake every year. Except now I finish baking it. We eat it together. And I blow out my own candles. Because I don't wait for anyone to celebrate me anymore.